My name again is Maia Espinoza. I'm a mom, I've got kids in school, or they're supposed to be in school anyway. I also have a military background. I come from two military parents. I was born on an Air Force base and lived all over the United States, attending more than a dozen public schools before landing here. My parents have since been restationed. My mom did 2 tours in Iraq, and my dad's serving overseas right now. I actually want to take a second to recognize all of our military members in the audience. Would you please stand and be recognized? And protecting our freedoms. It means the world to me, and with such a small fraction of our population that serve, you really ought to be recognized every single day. So I try to do it whenever I get the opportunity. So I'm the lady running for that office you never heard of, Superintendent of Public Instruction, way down ballot, but it is a statewide elected office. Also happens to be a nonpartisan race. So it doesn't get a lot of attention. Actually, compared to the governor's race, only gets about 1/3 of the votes. I need you to vote in this election. Schools are closed right now. How many of you have heard about that controversial sex ed? That is exactly the moment I decided to jump into this race. Of course, I testified against it a year ago when they presented it in Olympia the first time. Well, they were just dumb enough to pass it this year, and I said, that's it. This is not the priority of our schools. We've got a lot of work to do. More than half of our kids can't pass math or science standards, and over 40% can't pass the English standard. I think we have other priorities than mandating a sex ed curriculum statewide. It ought to be up to local control and local communities. That said, school closures now, the best case scenario is we'll have 2 to 3 days back to school, with kids coming back to school. The state's already prioritizing which kids are going to be allowed back. Well, I think this is the perfect opportunity to test school vouchers for parents, so that you, the parents, can decide. Chance to do it. If the state is acknowledging that not every child can come back to school, and yet it is in our Constitution to educate every student in Washington, this is the way to do it. We can do it. And with this being a nonpartisan office, we ought to be able to get the legislature to help us do it. Recently passed Espinoza decision, actually at the Supreme Court, said that money can actually go to religious schools too. So if you want to send your kid to a religious school, charter school, private school, you want to homeschool, do online school, you ought to get some money to do that. We spend $23,000 per student in this state. We just more than doubled our education funding in recent years, and no surprise, student outcomes have remained stagnant. Parents know what's best for their kids. I want to put that back in your hands. And I want to thank Josh Freed for being a leader on this sex ed referendum. Thanks to you. Ballot this year, miraculously, through social distancing without a single paid signature gatherer. This is incredible stuff, but this is exactly what Republicans in this state needed to be able to get a boost in the election. People are going to turn out for that measure. They're going to vote in the governor's race, but I need you to help remind our friends that the guy sitting in this office right now, this current superintendent, he's the one that authored this bill, sponsored it, and took it to the legislature and said, we need this bill. And yeah, there are some people that disagree with it, but there's also people that think the world is flat and the Holocaust didn't exist. That's what he said about us. We need to remove him from office. It's a nonpartisan race, but I'm your conservative option. I'm going to treat this office in a nonpartisan way, in the same way our schools should be. We shouldn't be socializing and politicizing our kids. We need to be teaching them the essential life skills. I'm going to stop talking. I'll get off my soapbox. I can keep going. This is Josh's event. Thank you for letting me crash it, buddy.